Hello, BookTube. After yesterday's disaster of uploading, I'm not exactly sanguine that you're going to ever see this video. I yesterday recorded a video and uploaded it in about 20 minutes, usual, and then I recorded another video and it took 10 hours to upload. Creeping along without ever changing. So I gave up on it a couple of times, wandered away from it a couple of times, and eventually, late at night, it succeeded. So I don't know what's going on there. The United States is currently undergoing an enormous heat wave. That could be having something to do with it. Or it could be some sort of cyber attack, one way or another. I saw in my book news feed this morning that USA Today came out with a list of 5 books that you just don't want to miss this summer, specifically this July. And the list left a little to be desired. Far be it from me to argue with a Gannett paper, but still, their list was Clock Dance by Ann Tyler, I See Life Through Rosé-Colored Glasses by Lisa Scottolini and Francesca Ceratella, The Prison Letters of Nelson Mandela, edited by Sam Ventnor, Summer Wives by Beatriz Williams, and Astro Ball by Ben Reiter. It just so happens I've read all of those books, and Clock Dance is weak even by Ann Tyler standards. This is an author who has made a career out of writing novels about nothing, and this is more about nothing than most. I find it hard to believe that it will please anyone other than a devoted Ann Tyler fan. Devoted Ann Tyler fans have something to cheer. In July, they have a new book by their author, but take her name off it. Disavow yourself of any knowledge that she wrote it and simply read the manuscript and see what you think. Or rather, in this case, don't. Second one, I See Life Through Rosé-Colored Glasses, is one of those, unfortunately, it's a cottage industry, it's a going concern, one of those, oh my god, and then the airbag expanded, and then another ridiculous funny thing went wrong, and then I pratfell straight on my face in front of 1,000 people, and the minute my face hit the ground, my pants split open down the back. I don't know about you, but a little of that goes a long, long way with me. I know that writers like David Sedaris pointed the way and told a whole bunch of people that if you just dish dirt on yourself in a funny enough way, you too can be a multimillionaire. But even so, I would find it hard to believe that most of you would get more than 20 pages before you'd say, okay, yeah, I get it. So the translation error between you and your charming Provençal waiter led you being charged $1 million for your food bill, and now you're going to have to wash dishes to get home until somebody comes by and solves the problem. But nevertheless, have you got anything new to show me, or is it just going to be 150 more pages of this? And the third book, The Prison Letters of Nelson Mandela, of course I'm not bashing on the historical significance. Of course I want a volume, a well-curated, well-edited volume of the prison letters of a figure of such importance as Nelson Mandela, but there's a problem here. It is wonderfully edited. Sam Ventnor does a great job curating this volume, but Mandela wasn't a good letter writer, and most of his correspondents weren't good letter writers either. So the two purposes of such a volume, one would be as an aid to researchers, both now and in the future, that it succeeds on all cylinders. The other aim, especially the aim of a USA Today, I've got this on the trusty iPad here, that's why I'm looking down. The aim of a USA Today article would be that it would be interesting reading, and it's not. So I don't, it's not an item on this list that I can decry in its own existence, but even so, taking it to the beach or the summer house, expecting anything is, no, the one reader in 150 million who's in the back of their mind planning to write an academic history of Nelson Mandela or his time in prison, fine, they'll love it. But everybody else, no. And Astro Ball, Summer Wives by Beatriz Williams, is a historical novel about a woman who falls in love with the wrong person at the wrong time in American history. And as I've mentioned on this channel before, it's captivating, absolutely wonderful, a perfect example of what this list is all about. But the fifth book is Astro Ball by Ben Reiter, which is all about the rise to dominance of the Houston Astros through their use of statistics and number crunching. It's the expansion of claims that the author made that the Houston Astros would go on to win big. And they did. And isn't of any particular interest except to Houston Astros fans. So, and certainly even people who are generally interested in the subject and maybe would read it even if they aren't Houston Astros fans would much rather that it take a different approach than statistics and number crunching. So in my opinion, this list from USA Today lets the general purpose reader down. And rather than simply kvetch, much as I love to do that, I thought that I would offer you some substitutes. It seems to me that in this list, we need substitutes for 4 out of the 5 books. Beatriz Williams' Summer Wives is just fine. You will like it a lot. It is a really entertaining and thought-provoking novel. But all the others need to go. And if they need to go, we need to replace them with something. So I have 5 examples in mind. The first one is a kid's picture book. It's by Ara Parker, and it's called Twig. Now, we're going to try and get the iPad to behave here. No? Maybe? No? No? No. Okay. Well, you can kind of sort of make it out. It's not very good. What about further away? No? No? Anything? No? No? It was working. The reflection thing was working, but when I did a trial run, but I can never tell. I do not have a way to show you the books I'm talking about on this channel, whether it's phone, iPad, or whether, unless I go to the bother of digging them out from piles here at Hyde Cottage and bringing them physically into this room like something out of Gulliver's Travels, I do not have a way to electronically show you the covers of books. Maybe someday in the far future, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren will have a YouTube that does that for the people who are providing it with hundreds of thousands of dollars every day in free advertising revenue. But right now, YouTube does not. Does not have. Right now, there is no feature that I can see, and you can enlighten me if I'm wrong, but right now there is no feature on YouTube that simply says add photo here, which is exactly as simple and easy as it should be, and YouTube could do that in one day. But no, one way or another. This is kind of sort of evening out there. It's called Twig, anyway. It's a children's picture book about one of those little kinds of insects that perfectly imitates the twig that it's standing on, so that you can't pick it out from the crowd. It's a perfect camouflage. And the book is about a little twig who's going on her first day to school. And she wants to make friends. She wants to experience the world of school. But how can she do that if no one can even see her? And it's a really good, like most good children's picture books, it's a great little adventure on its own and funny and a little bit silly, but also a great message underneath it all that you hope the kids will absorb even while they're being entertained, which is all about starting school. It's all about standing out, even if you're a little shy. As such, I cannot recommend it highly enough. Now we'll see if we can get the next visual to behave. This is by John Foote. It's a work of history. It's the Archipelago. It's a history of Italy after 1945. So it starts off with Italy in no, we're not gonna work now. No. Okay. Well, you can see a tiny, thin, ghostly image, and I'll notate all these things down below. I'll have to, because I don't have any imagery. I don't have any way to show you electronic versions of the covers of these books, unless I learn some sort of software that overlays Fortran onto the motherboard and has the audio desynchronous with the video, and, the editing only takes about 9 hours. Yeah, there's nothing like that will stop me from doing videos, one way or another. It's called the Archipelago. You can't really tell that. And it's a history of Italy from the ruinous end of World War II, when Italy was destroyed. Its fascistic leader was hung up like a piece of meat alongside his mistress. The economy, the military, everything was in ruins. The city, Rome itself, was in ruins. And it's the story of its rise since then. And I've read a couple of books on segments of that history, but I don't think I've ever read a narrative history of the whole thing. And it's really good. The author does a really good job. So if you want a work of history that talks about, forces leading up to the present day, this is not the Borgias. This is the direct, deep pilings of the present day. This is a really good example. Much better than any example on the USA Today list. And the next one is tremendous. I don't know if it's technically classified as a YA novel, but it has stuck with me like glue since I read it. It's by Craig DiLouie, and it's called One of Us. And it takes place in the 1980s when a generation of young children is coming of age. They're becoming teenagers, and they are mutated. They are weird, disgusting, is what a lot of characters in the book consider them, that's the result of a genetically modified, strange, sexually transmitted disease that affected their parents 20 years before. And we meet a lot of these kids. They have a very, naturally, as you'd expect, a very cynical view of the world. And when a group of these kids meets a group of quote-unquote normal kids, the mutated kids start to realize that it isn't just their physical appearance. They might actually be physiologically different. They might have mutations that are stranger and more powerful than any of them has thought. And that gets them thinking along all sorts of different teenage lines. It's just, it's difficult to explain, but it is a strange book and incredibly moving. By the time you're done with it, incredibly moving. And again, like Twig, it's a meditation on a lot of things, buried underneath, like the best science fiction. It's a meditation on appearances, even on immigration. It's just as with most books that are slightly sui generis, I'm not doing it justice, but boy, oh boy, do I recommend it. If you can find it. I've never seen it in a bookstore. And I don't think I've ever seen it reviewed by a literary organization either. And then the last example that we want to do to go along with Summer Wives, so keep in mind, we're keeping Summer Wives. The last one is controversial, but it's tremendously well written, and it will intrigue you. You will fly through the pages, no matter where you stand on the subject. It's by Alan Dershowitz, and it's called The Case Against Impeaching Trump, in which Dershowitz lays out what impeachment is, and what it isn't, and what it shouldn't be, and describes in very cogent terms the forces for and against the call for impeachment in 2018. I disagreed with a lot of this book. It reads like a shot. You can get through it in 2 seconds. And I disagreed with a lot of it. A lot of it I thought was dead wrong. A lot of it, I mean, the legal understanding, I think, is airtight. But as I've noticed with Dershowitz in a few of his books, he seems unwilling sometimes to acknowledge that there is more to a legal case than its legal underpinnings. Always. That's always the case. And that's not always bad. In fact, it's often the saving grace of what would otherwise be a heartless system. So, in best lawyerly fashion in this book, he also, in addition to laying out the case against impeaching Trump, he lays out the case for impeaching Trump, and he doesn't do it justice. There are extra legal reasons, to put it euphemistically, that aren't given. There's a reason why hundreds of thousands of Americans would do anything, sell anything, pay anything, sacrifice anything to immediately impeach this president. That hasn't been true here in this country in 50 years, and there's a reason for that. And there are many reasons. They're pretty obvious in the news every day, and I think Dershowitz doesn't give them credit. Maybe that was his point in this book. I would love a chance to interview him on the subject. I will certainly try to make that happen. Maybe his point was that they don't deserve an equal hearing. That if we depart from the law on a subject as sensitive and volatile as this, we do so only at our peril. There is no good upside to departing from the law in something like this. Maybe he's right. One way or another, though, this will certainly interest you a lot more than the Houston Astros. I would think. I might be wrong. Some of you will be diehard fans of the Houston Astros, but I think the far greater number of you will find this more interesting. So there you go. I thought I'd augment USA Today's list. They tried. They tried their best, and they failed, except for one. Summer Wives by Beatriz Williams, I wholeheartedly recommend. I'm bobbing up and down here because my little schnauzer is currently, at this moment, as we speak, trying to kill me. I don't know why. We're nearly on the best of terms. It's quite different. It's quite a change from the last 5 years of my dog life. In fact, from the last 20 years of my dog life. But I'm not complaining. So there you go. I will list all these things down below because, of course, we couldn't see them. And I'll wrap this up for now, but I will see you soon. And God only knows when you'll see this video. I'll do my best. Thank you, BookTube.